Hey there, and welcome to the garden. It is a cool evening out here. We had a big rainstorm and it really cooled things down. The garden is so fresh and happy, and right now it's actually feeling a little bit chilly. Nothing too cold to cause any problems for the plants. Everything's totally above freezing, but it is a little bit chillier than it has been because we've been having some really warm weather. So it's kind of a little bit of a nice change, and as you can see, the sun's going down, but I'm really getting into my evening gardening. This is really becoming my garden time. So I'm out here, I'm gonna put together one little container, kind of an experiment, and I wanted to share with you. And this is gonna be some eggplants in a hanging basket. We're gonna see how this goes this year. So let me share with you first the eggplants that we're gonna be planting. Okay, so I am going to pot up these, not these guys. Where are they? I just had them. Wow, I've got a bunch of fun eggplants. So this is the pumpkin on the stick. These are gonna go in a different thing. This is fairy tale. And this one, and then I think I have a couple more fairy tales, yeah, here. So I think I'm gonna do, I don't know if I'm gonna plant all four of these in the hanging basket. That seems like an awful lot. But maybe three, maybe I'll just do these three in the hanging basket. So these are called fairy tale eggplants. And the fun thing about them is that they create like these little small purple and white striped eggplants, a really cute little, just little fun eggplant, but they're also a container size plant. So the whole plant itself should stay smaller. Now, is it small enough that the hanging basket is going to be the perfect spot for it? I don't know. I really am experimenting. I am going to be giving it a lot of fertilizer. I've really been trying this year to keep really on top of fertilizing my containers. So it will be given lots of food. It will be very well fed. But I'm going to put, I think, all three of these into a 14-inch hanging basket, and we'll just see how they grow over the season. I'll do that other one as kind of a control. I love a garden experiment. I love learning about different varieties, as you know. So that other one that I have, I'll just go ahead and plant that as like a, kind of like as a control in a container all by itself. I just ordered a bunch of 1-gallon grow bags, and I think I'm gonna pop a lot of different things into those and use that for just some serious vegetable growing. But then these we'll try in the hanging basket, and we'll see how they do. So I'm gonna pull down one of the hanging baskets. I had some violas and peas in this hanging basket, and they're done for the season. So here's where we're at. It had some peas and violas. It actually was really pretty. I don't think I showed this container when it was really in its prime. It was looking really cute for a while, but it's kind of, it kind of dried out. I do have to really watch. It is such a job to stay on task of watering these cocoa fiber lined hanging baskets even this early in the season. So I am going to reuse this cocoa fiber liner. I think it looks totally good enough shape. Sometimes the birds pick at it a little bit. I think it's like probably the perfect material for birds building their nests, but totally still there's no holes in it, so it'll be fine for another season. And I'm just going to pull out all of this soil in these plants, get that out, and then we'll put some fresh soil, and get planting. Okay, so here we go. Let's just rip out. I'm not quite sure how deep this root system has gone. Oh yeah, there's still a bit of loose soil, but I want to get all the roots out. I don't like to reuse soil too much, especially if it's in a small container like this. The grow bags, I'll reuse the soil from year to year, but in a small little hanging basket, we want to have basically all the nutrients that we possibly can. So there's a little bit down here. We'll leave that. That's fine. And then I'm going to get some fresh potting soil. So we got some fresh potting soil in there. And what I have been doing is top dressing with compost. So I have been top dressing my hanging baskets with compost. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of space. And we're just gonna separate these seedlings. Hopefully they do okay. And then we'll top dress with a little bit of some more potting soil in here. And then we'll top dress with the compost. So if you're looking to do something like this and you want to have, you know, like vegetables in a container, it's not too late. So you can still find even big box stores more and more. If you start looking, you'll find they have a lot of varieties that are like, especially the kind of determinate container variety tomatoes. You can find a lot of those readily, but you can really grow any plant in a container. Some just, you know, are a little bit happier, and sometimes, you know, your full-size pepper might get a little bit stunted if you try to grow it in a container. So these little eggplants, if this works out, could be a really fun hanging basket. I mean, this could be so cute. You can grow any plant in a container, but it may not reach its full potential. So if you have what would have been a 4-foot pepper plant you put in a container, depending on the size of the container, it may get stunted, it may only grow to be a foot or so, and it may not really produce as much. It just wouldn't reach its potential necessarily. Like, I couldn't put a full-size pepper in this hanging basket and expect it to reach its full production and its full potential as a plant. But with the containers, like varieties, they've been bred to handle smaller conditions. They've been bred to still produce and produce and produce, but just on a smaller plant, if that makes sense. So you're not going to be dealing with a plant that's stunted or stressed. It's going to be a happy plant because it was designed to be in a container anyways. It wasn't designed to get big. It's kind of falling, I don't know, more within its potential, I guess, and so it's happier. And so that's why these container varieties are good, and I've more and more leaned toward using them when I'm doing like food production in true container styles. I will also grow like a full-size plant in a big container or in a big grow bag, but in something like this, the container variety is going to be much happier. I still don't know if I'm pushing it. This seems really small for 3 eggplants, even container eggplants, but I love a garden experiment. I love a little bit of a challenge, and I think I have in my mind this hanging basket that's just brimming with eggplants spilling over, so hopefully it turns out like that. It is just such a pretty evening in the garden. Everything is looking so nice, a little bit washed out because we got a ton of rain, but super happy too and fresh. Look how happy the lettuce is. These cooler temperatures and that rain, I'm gonna have to get out here and do even more harvesting. I did just notice though, my first pea. There's another one. Oh my gosh. What an exciting find. Now I've got to go check over here and see if I've got any peas. I see a baby. There's a pea. Okay, this is such an exciting thing. This is little, but I'm still gonna pick it. I don't even care. I see another one. Peas are kind of classics. I'm sure a lot of you have grown them, but if you have never had a pea right off the plant in the garden, they're so sweet. They're so like soft, and I don't know, the texture is just so good. Well, that was a very pleasant surprise. Those are pretty good. I like those. I did a few different varieties. I did container varieties, kind of like dwarf varieties again, because they didn't need to be trellis. They fit into my containers, they fit into my space really well, and they did fit in here very nicely in these containers. I popped them in with a bunch of my perennials and they've been growing up. Now here's the thing though, they taste pretty good, but they're not quite as good. I grew the Green Beauty, I think. It's a snow pea. I got the seeds from Baker Creek. I grew those last season, and I did actually go ahead and order some more because they, on a flavor scale, and those are full size plants. So I will have to make room for them next spring, but as far as flavor goes, so good, so delicious. These are still good and fresh and beautiful, but not quite as good. I'm starting to get to a point, I think it's like my progression as a gardener, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm starting to get picky, and I'm like, oh, you know, it's good, but it's not quite as good as this other variety, which is fun. That's a real like full circle moment for me. It's kind of exciting to be able to get to a point where, I don't know, it's kind of like in cooking when you get to a point where you are no longer need to use the recipe, you know, and you start to just have these like knowledge of what's going to taste good. And I feel like with gardening, you know, you start to get to this point where you start to feel, oh, this is the variety I like, I prefer this over this, and I know this and that. And I love these kind of moments. Just personally, they're kind of fun to realize where I've come in my own journey as a gardener. But these peas are still super delicious. And as I said, peas from the garden, there are certain things that just taste so different out of the garden. There's a lot of starches in peas, and so when you pick peas, the starches start to, I'm not exactly sure what the science is, like if they start to coagulate or what they start to do, but the starches start to become more and more noticeable when you're eating them. When you first pick them, they're just so much more tender, and they have just such a different, lighter flavor almost, because the starch hasn't gotten as intense yet. So yum. That's why sometimes frozen peas and things are even better than like frozen shelling peas are better than the fresh ones, because that you would get in a grocery store, because the starches, they freeze them right away, and so the starches don't develop the same way. I'm gonna have to look into this more. I've heard a few people talk about it, and I need to get the full research, but all I know is peas out of the garden taste great. And the Green Beauty, I think it's Green Beauty. I don't think it's Green Beauty Blush. I think I'm thinking of another plant that has the blush, but the Green Beauty, oh, so good. Snow peas, yum. Okay, well, I'm just gonna look for some more peas out here. It's kind of chilly, so I don't think I'm gonna spend a lot of time out here, because honestly, now it's kind of chilly and I'm used to the warm weather now. It's so funny how quickly this would have felt so warm just a month ago, and now I'm like, oh, it's a little chilly. I think I'll go inside. It's not warm enough to be out in the garden, but pretty soon there's not gonna be a choice. I'm gonna be sweating whenever I come out here, because our summers get really hot, and we are really getting to that season very soon. But anyways, I just wanted to share with you that eggplant experiment, and I will let you know how it goes. We'll see if that variety becomes, you know, one of the favorites on the list, and how it works out in the hanging basket. If you've grown those or any other kind of eggplants in a hanging basket, let me know, because I'd be very curious to hear how it went for you, or if you had, just any experience with it. Anyways, again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.